This morning, lawmakers are back home, the president is at his retreat in Delaware, and the fate of the Biden agenda is anything but certain. There is increasing tension among moderate and progressive Democrats, and a sense that the White House is falling short.
It's incredibly toxic right now. I had a House Democrat say, the White House Legislative Affairs operation is just, they don't know what they're doing.
One Democratic lawmaker told ABC News, quote, "Most of us are at a loss for words. There was no plan."
Do you usually dance? Because I'm kind of bopping right now. So are you bopping because I'm bopping because you're watching it?
I didn't even see you bopping.
Are you watching us?
No, I was looking at Twitter. I'm 100% positive.
Okay, so you usually bop.
I don't know that I usually
Because I'm hoping you're not bopping because I'm bopping, so it's Mr. and Mrs. Coffee Clatch bopping. Because if we look like Hello Melrose, then I'm going to hang myself.
It's Let's Talk Melrose.
Let's Talk Melrose, okay.
And I don't know, I didn't know you were dancing. You don't usually dance.
I got into the song today.
I was into the song.
Okay.
I was just in a dancey, happy mood.
That's fine. That's fine because actually you look beautiful, so it's good to see you dance. As long as you're not dancing because it's the Tom and Al's Variety Hour.
I literally did not even see you dancing. I was not on the screen.
All right, here, kids. How can we help you?
I was not on the screen for the show. Share it with your brother. I was not on the screen where I was looking at the show. I was just looking up at topics on Twitter and kind of dancing happily to myself because I'm in a happy mood. Because, among other things, Kristen Sinema not killed necessarily permanently, but has caused some problems with the infrastructure bill,
we'll
and
see.
That makes me happy.
This is a particularly good open, as a matter of fact. I'm going to start it again, okay? Do you mind?
Okay.
It's a great open. By the way, the just so you know, the sound you're hearing at the very end is Gladys Berejiklian, who is the 45th Premier of New South Wales in Australia, and she quit. So you're going to hear a reaction to that at the end. No more noise from out there. Ready? Here we go. Ready?
Here we go.
Here we go.
I'll try not to dance this time.
I love you dancing.
Okay.
I just didn't know it was you if you were trying to compliment me.
No, I literally didn't even see you doing it because
you know what?
You know what it is?
You know what's affected my head?
What?
I have never had such feelings where it's much like when I watch the Hello Melrose Open when they're all dancing and the guys are like doing this thing where they're pretending really not to look. I know I'm being goofy thing. You said that's a thing, is it?
Yeah, it's a known. It's they call it like performative awkwardness or something.
Okay, so let me just put it on a bigger scale. People would know it from Stephen Colbert's Vax Dance, where this whole time when he's dancing with vaccinated people, and his mouth is open the whole time.
Yeah, they call that soy face.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's nothing that so pushes me towards purchasing a long gun and scope. Not to hurt anybody, but I get hateful thoughts in my mind, especially when I see people doing that. So I was just afraid of that.
But they say it's like a thing, even if you look at like photos of guys on online dating profiles, right? That they all have this same expression that's like it's
oh, don't take it seriously, kind of. I don't want to seem vulnerable here. I'm playing along a little bit,
and it's like worse than if you just seemed vulnerable.
Right, but the Colbert dancing thing, where he's dancing with the Vax thing, that's a crime against humanity. Up there with the biggies. Mm-hmm. You may dance. I'd like you to.
I don't know if I can now.
You
I wasn't
look really
thinking
good
about
today.
It. I can't
so
do it
please,
on demand.
Dance.
I don't know how to dance.
This morning, lawmakers are back home. The president is at his retreat in Delaware, and the fate of the Biden agenda is anything but certain. There is increasing tension among moderate and progressive Democrats, and a sense that the White House is falling short.
It's incredibly toxic right now. I had a House Democrat say, the White House Legislative Affairs operation is just, they don't know what they're doing.
One Democratic lawmaker told ABC News, quote, "Most of us are at a loss for words. There was no plan, no strategy, no timing."
U.S. officials telling NBC News the Biden administration is preparing for an even more massive surge in October. Up to 400,000 migrants crossing the border, which would be a record.
As you can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Brandon.
Therefore, it pains me to announce that I have no option but to resign from the office of Premier.
That is her. That is the Premier Gladys, whatever her face is, resigning. That was a footage from a club, a bar in Australia. I think they miss her. couldn't happen to a bigger tyrant. So much going on. Today is such a great day. I don't even know where to start today. It's such a great day. Such a great day. I'm sorry, guys, by the way, that I made her stop dancing. You looked lovely, Alice, and I shot it down. I don't even know where to start. There's so much to talk about today. There's too much to talk about today. You literally had leftist activists, spoiled little brats, follow Kristen Sinema into a bathroom. Have you even seen this yet?
I haven't seen that, no.
Alice has been at church and shuttling kids around. So you haven't seen it, but it's remarkable. Remarkable. They follow her, and a guy and a woman follow her right into the bathroom and wait in the stall and ask her questions. Of course, they picked the one person crazy enough to not be bothered by it whatsoever, so Sinema just does her stuff. But it's crazy. I don't actually have this cut by itself, but I do have I can play it so that we can hear it. We are in a new...
Is it even legal to film in bathrooms?
No, no
Isn't
way.
Isn't there a reasonable expectation of privacy in a bathroom?
Do you remember when I followed, Katy Perry, all the way to the tip of the bathroom? When I was with the Herald?
At the Super Bowl?
Yeah, at the Super Bowl. I have all the footage. I've hidden it because it's so stalkerish. It's such a stalking thing. Mm-hmm. But I was trying to follow her. She was walking. They were lost in her entourage. So I was trying to follow her and get close enough to her to ask her a question while filming. But I just looked like paparazzi. A big fat paparazzi. Katie. But I was going to ask her about her fight with Taylor Swift. But in the end, because I couldn't get quite close enough to her, and I wanted her to be able to get her to answer the question, I don't think I quite shouted the question. But then she went into the bathroom. They're like, dude, really? What are you doing? Like, are you psycho? And I'm like, no, I'm with the Boston Herald. He's like, well, that's supposed to be good paper. I mean, what do you get? You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. Oh my goodness. As far as I know, I just am following her
to the bathroom.
And she was seemed really sweet to people as she's walking and saying hi to people. It was just a woman who just had to use the bathroom. And Fatty had to... Oh, it was ridiculous.
I feel like that might be ableist or something.
And somebody held on to her doggy while it was there. Wait, is it ableist? Mm-hmm. Is Katy Perry not able?
That impression that you did of yourself seemed ableist.
It's funny you say that because I've been attacked on social media for pointing out Chris Christie's. Did you see this?
No.
Chris Christie was on... we're going to play his audio in a moment. Chris Christie was on one of the shows this morning. And they have him sitting at the end of the table, so all you can see is his primary fat roll. As somebody who knows how sensitive that can be, seating can be, especially if you're on TV and you're in that angle, I just tweeted something about it, and somebody responded, would you make fun of a black person if he was fat tweeting this? Like, you're missing the point of the world. I tweeted, as a fat person, I can understand that is a tough place to put this guy, but I gave him kudos. Anyway, who cares? So they're these people, these activists, because Democrats, activists, they're babies. They have to get their way, or else they get to break all the rules and burn the things and do whatever they want to, and stop people in elevators and do whatever they want to, and yell at Tucker Carlson and try to kill his wife and kids in his house when he's not there because they want things now.
Also,
and they've always been told they can have everything.
What's crazy is that it's the progressives that stopped her bill because they want her to do other stuff that they want. Like, she didn't do anything to them. She's just not convinced to vote for a certain bill. Like, she didn't go out of her way to block something the way they did. Nancy Pelosi was going to hold a vote, and she couldn't because whatever her name is, Jayapal and AOC and all those people literally wouldn't allow her to vote on it. They stopped the world and stopped the bipartisan bill that's the actual roads and bridges.
So we're going to need to talk all about that. We're going to get to all that stuff, and it's remarkable to me what's happening here. But here's a couple of psychos going after Kristen Sinema as she's walking into the bathroom at Arizona State University.
I'll be back. Sit down, we want to talk to you real quick. Can we talk to you real quick?
Following her.
I am heading out.
Now she goes into the bathroom.
Right now is a real moment that our people need in order for us to be able to talk about what's really happening. We need a Build Back Better plan right now.
Now she's walked into the bathroom.
We knocked on doors. We need solutions to the Build Back Better
She's just opened the stall door. She's now in the stall, and the woman in the red...
We knocked on doors for you.
The red shirt is standing right outside of the stall. The guy is holding the camera, still filming.
To get you elected, and just how we got you elected, we can get you out of office if you don't support what you promised us.
We need 7 million citizenship for 7 million. We need the Build Back Better plan right.
Can you imagine this effing cretin in there yelling her? She's in the stall doing stuff that you do in a stall at this point. By the way, there's also somebody else in another stall who walks out horrified.
My name is Blanca. I was brought here to the United States when I was 3 years
Blanca,
old.
Blanca, just FYI, you're an asshole, okay? Can you imagine? My name is Blanca. No, your name is Dickhead in the bathroom harassing a person. That's your name. That's all your name is.
And in 2010, my grandparents both got deported because of SB 1070.
Here comes another woman walking out of the stall,
that we need a pathway to citizenship. My grandfather passed away 2 weeks ago, and I was not able to go to Mexico and visit him because there is no pathway to citizenship. And if
another woman walks into the bathroom and walks out because there's an assault happening.
If we have the opportunity to pass it right now, then we need to do it because there's millions of undocumented people just like me who share the same story or even worse things that happen to them because of SB 1070 and because of anti-immigrant legislation. And this is the opportunity to pass it right now, and we need to hold.
She's speaking to the bathroom door, the stall where you could see under, you can see over. It is very open space.
You accountable to what you told us, what you promised us that you were going to pass when we knocked on doors for you. It's not right.
That's Cinema flushing the toilet after going to the bathroom right in front of this lady.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor of human trafficking, and it's because of the
Cinema walks right in front of her out of the stall, washing her hands.
lack of worker protections that we don't
The girl's in her face now. Cinema's washing her hands. Doesn't notice.
have in the gig economy. I need you to stand by workers. Lots of people who are like me who became homeless and
And there you go. That's the end of the video. I can tell you. Let me tell you something. Mm-hmm. I don't know a lot about people. I know Kirsten Cinema is a wacky person and wears crazy pumps and does dances and this and that. She is a good and patient human being.
She's also the bravest person in Washington.
If that was me, I would use every tool at my disposal.
Would there be some profanity?
There wouldn't just be profanity. The experience that I was having in there would be shared with people. That lady right there, for instance, with Blanca, as a matter of fact. In one way or another. I'm not going to say how. But so go ahead.
So, Kirsten Cinema is...
Kirsten.
Is it Kirsten? Sorry, Kirsten.
It's okay.
We're not going to have our Kirsten debate again, are we? Kirsten Cinema is her and Joe Manchin, but I mean, I think Joe Manchin sort of has this. He has a long-standing reputation, and he's in a very red state, and he's sort of an institution, so he's a little more like able to withstand this onslaught. She's the only person besides him who's willing to take the heat for this. I mean, not all of the other 48 senators really want this stuff, right? They take the heat. Cinema and Manchin take the heat so that the bill can get smaller and the other senators can go home to their constituents and say, well, we wanted it. I fought for it. I tried. Right. I managed to keep this thing in here. So this bill right now is $3.5 trillion. Joe Manchin is saying, I think, like $1.2 trillion or something is his maximum, so they're gonna have to carve it down. So they're kind of in a position right now where they're talking about, like, what do we do? Do we like cut a bunch of the programs out of this altogether? Do we do all the programs but just fund them for like a couple years and then like hope that we can do something in the future, which is like, that's an ugly way to go because, then you have these fights all the time about stuff when stuff.
So what's going to happen
out.
here? All your podcasts I listened to Friday was depressed. All the commentary podcasts and National Review podcasts were like, oh my God, I can't believe this. We're spending ourselves into oblivion. It's all over, etc. So
okay, so basically they ended up splitting. Like originally he had the American Families Plan or whatever stupid huge thing he made. That was like his Build Back Better thing, his infrastructure, and all the jokes were like, oh, like childcare is infrastructure. Like, home health care is infrastructure. Everything's infrastructure, right? So they split it into two parts, right? So Sinema and Manchin and Biden brokered this deal. They found 10 Republicans who would vote for railroads, bridges, roads, the usual things that you think of in infrastructure. It's about $500 billion. It's $550 billion or something. Still a lot, but it's on actual stuff. And they got 10 Republicans to sign on to it. That passed the Senate. That's bipartisan. That got its 60 votes that it needed. And then they put all their ridiculous, insane wish list stuff, free pre-K, free childcare, extending this tax credit of the free money every month forever, all this, extra stuff. That's the $3.5 trillion.
That's a Build Back Better.
Right.
Yep.
And that they're doing through reconciliation.
Right. I get you.
So there's been all kinds of fights over this, and the Senate parliamentarian has now become a celebrity because the Senate parliamentarian is the person who tells
what can't be reconciliation can't.
So they took out amnesty out of it. They said you can't do that by reconciliation. Sorry, guys. All kinds of stuff like that. But this is what the super progressives in the House want. And they're saying they're not going to pass the smaller, it's not really small, but the smaller.
Right, Roads and Bridges
bill unless they get an agreement on the big one.
Right.
So they literally blocked Pelosi from voting on the bipartisan plan. And Pelosi's now set a new deadline. That's the end of October. It was supposed to be last week.
How did they block her? In other words, they said we're not going to vote.
They said we're not going to vote for it.
So it wouldn't pass.
Yeah. So she didn't have enough votes to get it. So now they're trying to get desperately Manchin and Sinema to agree to something so that they can get the progressives to agree to the bipartisan bill. Sinema's pissed off at them because this was she worked her butt off to work out this bipartisan deal and get Republicans on board and stuff. And they're tanking her bill. So I don't know, Joe Manchin's thrown this number out here of the 1.2 trillion that Biden would like it to be higher. He's said 2.5 trillion he wants to see ultimately. But I don't know if he'll go up a little from that, but she's not even giving a number. It's not clear. And she's said there's stuff, that she doesn't want to see in there. There are things that she won't agree to, on principle. Remember she killed the minimum wage thing before? There's stuff that she just disagrees with as a moderate on principle. So, yeah, I mean, it's unclear what's going to happen now. I mean, I'm thinking they'll probably ultimately end up with something that they can get through. And Biden has kind of modified his expectations a little bit here. Now they're saying okay, these bills are definitely going to be tied. They've bowed to the Progressive Caucus and say we're going to tie these two things together then, and we'll get this done. But it might take a little longer. But we're going to work it out. We're going to figure it out. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think people yelling at
vote
on the
straight hard infrastructure bill.
I think they already did, didn't they?
Yes, they did. That's right.
Yeah.
Pelosi has to vote on that one.
Right.
They have to vote on the crazy one.
Right. And Pelosi doesn't have control of the progressives enough to get them on board with it until Manchin and Sinema agree to something for the crazy one in the Senate.
Right.
So they're kind of at an impasse right now. And it's funny, how the left frames this stuff, where they're 2 senators are destroying, how can 2 senators overrule 48 senators? Bernie Sanders tweeted this. How come 2 senators have more power than 48 other senators? That's crazy.
Pure politics, obviously.
Yeah. So, and then it's funny, and I hate, when people use their kids like this, but this actually really happened. I swear it. Sally was looking over my shoulders. I was, trying to read up on what was going on, and I had that Bernie Sanders tweet up, and she said, wait, how many states does each senator have? And I said, 2. And she said, wait, so how can it be 2 versus 48? And I said, well, it's not. It's 52 versus 48. We're just leaving out the other 50 because that's more convenient for our narrative. But yeah, but it's 52 versus 48.
Was she literally crying, by the way?
She was shaking.
Yeah.
She was shaking. Yeah, no, it's all ridiculous. It's ridiculous that, they're trying with 50 senators to, change the entire makeup of the country. But like I said, they're going to have to make some decisions here. Do they just do a couple of these programs, or do they, there's people trying to push Biden to think New Deal who was it? One of these people. I think it was Larry Summers or somebody said, like, plant a lot of seeds and see what grows. Like,
just that would be the way that would look like a functional Congress, of course, when you voted on bills piecemeal rather than the huge comprehensive effing whales.
Right,
obviously.
And trying to stuff amnesty in it and everything else that you can think of.
Speaking of the water, Alice, I want to let you know something.
Okay.
I was at a bar. Was that last night? Was that last night that I was at a bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a drink at a bar called the Sunset Club Plum Island, which is in a place called Newburyport, Massachusetts-ish. And, actually, it's technically in Newbury. Okay, fine. And the place is fantastic. Fantastic. If we have a listener event, it may be there.
Wow.
The place is huge outside place. I mean, I don't think it's great in February, but I was very pleased. Very pleased. I saw friends of the show and our own friends. Want to say hello and thank you and happy birthday to Celine, Alice, who's probably listening to this right now. Not Celine Dion, a better Celine, who's listening to this right now, probably on the treadmill. Where I hope, by the way, Celine, you will be going harder and faster than Joel. But anyway, this bar was just was a great place, and I want to say hello to Celine. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
All right, can I get to Fauci now?
You can get to Fauci.
All right,
I'll allow it.
There's all sorts of. This is so crazy. This isn't just Fauci, but he's the guy who goes out there. He was on 133 shows that I could count so far on Sunday today. It's remarkable. First thing you should know, let me start with...
Can I say one thing quickly? Yeah. I think our household income is slightly less than Dr. Fauci's household income. And I don't have the kind of time he has to go on as many TV shows as he does. So
I'm on a show for 5 hours a day, and I don't do as much show as he does.
It's true.
So here's the thing. First thing you should know is... This week, Hugh Hewitt, and if you guys haven't seen this, I'm just going to play a cut of this. Hugh Hewitt torpedoed Fauci and beat him brutally. An interview that I think it's impossible to come back from. It started like this.
The controversy since the virus started include the botch testing at the beginning, no research on masks for children in primary care, the J&J pause, the controversy over the use or non-use of ivermectin, and there was no study yet completed. Dr. Collins told me it's not done yet. The no discussion of natural immunity, which exists and ought to be out there. The discussion of herd immunity, which is switched back and forth. The mask discussion at the beginning, don't wear masks, the noble lie, and then wear masks. Now equity issues in the FDA panel scientific discussion. I've lost confidence in the CDC and the FDA. And I actually believe a lot of Americans, a significant part of America, now have lost confidence in you, Dr. Fauci. Is there a point where you will say, I do more harm than good because people don't listen to me anymore, and step aside?
No. Absolutely, unequivocally no, Hugh.
No, absolutely. Now, Hugh then gave it back to him and again said that. People have lost faith. They don't think they can't trust you. To the point where Fauci was salty and was red and was at one point looking to the side at like an assistant, whatever, like, can you believe this is going on? He took such a beating. It was vicious and it was good to see. And the fact that it happened, that it's out there, is excellent because that means people are talking about it. Couldn't help but percolate. Hugh Hewitt's a gentleman of a broadcaster. He wasn't, kneecapping the guy. But he put it to him, what everybody else is saying. So here's Fauci right off the
Well, you can't only do interviews all the time. If you're, like, not a partisan, if you're a nonpartisan, like, public health official, you can't only talk to people that idolize you 24/7. Like, at some point, you have to reach out and explain yourself to the other half of the country, the half that's saying, what the heck, right? Like... You can't only deal with, like, fawning sycophants 24/7 if you want to reach other people.
Well, the problem is this. If you watch Fauci with Chuck Todd or Jake Tapper or Anderson Cooper or any of these people on the weekend shows as well, they treat him like the esteemed doctor and never cross-examine him. Never. They're soliciting medical advice from the Pope of medicine. No, they really are. And it's not something you need a journalist for. It's weird. You don't just give somebody a platform and then prostrate yourself while they speak. It's craziness.
Well, especially if they persistently lie. I mean, isn't Jake Tapper Mr. I Don't Have Liars on my show?
So here's Fauci. Dana Bash had him on today, and this guy is all in. I think now he figures that his safety for him is within the administration, within the most progressive messaging going around across the country, and he's embracing it.
The idea of getting vaccinated, for example, getting children in school vaccinated, which is gone right now with Governor Newsom in California, things like that are not new. I mean, there are school situations where I know my own children had to get vaccinated with a variety of vaccines in order to be able to go to school.
And real quick,
so there's nothing new about that.
Should other states follow California's lead and require kids to get vaccinated for the coronavirus to go to school?
You know, I'm not going to be recommending things to other states.
Classic Fauci. That said,
I'll let the leaders of those states, but I think what the governor did in California was something that was sound judgment.
So yes, in other words, I'm not going to pontificate on that, but absolutely yes.
I mean,
but hold on one second. He was, the governor of, and I may play the whole thing raw. Governor of West Virginia was on one of the shows today, and Face the Nation or whatever, and she was bashing him, saying, "You mandate that everybody take this vaccine and that vaccine in school. Why can't they take this vaccine?" And Fauci did the same thing. Fauci knows the difference between this vaccine and all the other ones that the kids have to take.
Yeah, this one hasn't even been out a year.
What else is the difference?
The disease doesn't make kids sick.
Right. This isn't a kid thing. It's not a kid thing. Why are you treating a kid for something that it has nothing to do with him? This is not. They're not in this one. They were in the Spanish flu. The first time around, that was hitting kids. Mm-hmm. So it's not a kid thing, and Fauci knows that. And every time he doesn't say that, he's a bleeping liar. Every time it's a lie of omission, people look at him and say, "Wow, this guy's full of it. He's lying." And people saying, "Well, you got to trust health experts." No, they're propagandizing. If they were doing health experty things, including telling us we don't know when they don't know, then they'd have some credibility. But this is a total propaganda.
Right, and the thing is too, so I know that Gavin Newsom's only doing it as the vaccine is approved for different age groups or whatever. But it's not even approved for the young kids yet at all. Mm-hmm. Pfizer's not even saying they're saying that they have 5 to 11 data, but the FDA hasn't approved it for kids that young yet. So it seems a little premature to be demanding that everybody take it. It's crazy because we've played all this stuff Biden, saying last year that he wasn't going to mandate anything, and Jen Psaki saying they wouldn't mandate anything, and everybody saying that's not the government's role. Pelosi saying everybody, right? But we switched to mandating it pretty darn quick, and then the kids one isn't even out yet, and we're mandating it in advance.
Right.
Once it's out, it will be mandated.
To me, this is a whole campaign of Biden administration / healthcare bureaucracy brand repair.
Well, right, because they were hoping that they could just let the vaccine go and that there wouldn't be any more waves and that they could take credit for getting rid of COVID. But then there was another wave or two, and they couldn't get it under control because you can't control it because it's a virus that comes in waves, and they are now flailing and just yelling at everybody, get vaccinated, we're losing patience with you, you caused this, you did it, put on a mask. You can't make the wave go away.
Right. And now for Fauci now saying, "Oh, no, I consider fully vaccinated now, vaccinated with a booster, 3 shots now." Well, here we go. I guess that's new. I mean, these are all attempts they're trying to hit their numbers, is what they're trying to do with the kids. Saying maybe we keep this up, we'll get 80%. We get 80%, then we're really somewhere. We can say we did the 80%. We can look back and say we got every kid K through 12 vaccinated, It's just totally trying to dig up some kind of win and victory through this, since Biden ran on being the guy who knows how to handle the pandemic, unlike the crazy guy before him. And he doesn't. He doesn't know how to handle a damn thing. And so this is landmine after landmine. This administration has not missed one. Right. Every step is a new landmine.
And what we're seeing now is a lot of the countries that we were told knew how to handle COVID and that were being held up as the antithesis to the Trump debacle, they don't know how to handle COVID either, especially like the Delta variant came along. That was more infectious, not really more deadly, but more infectious. So more people are getting it. And you look at these countries like Australia, where they're so emotionally attached to a policy of zero COVID that they don't know what to do now. They don't know how to transition to the next phase of this, which is that everybody who wants to be vaccinated can get vaccinated, and then you move on with your life because, a positive test rate is not going anywhere. Singapore's having this problem too. There were European countries.
Hold on. Sorry.
There were European.
Sorry. Go ahead.
There were European.
I'm trying to do stuff.
It's okay. No, it's all right. I'm sorry. There were European countries that went to, now we're going to declare COVID endemic and we're going to, move forward without restrictions. And they've committed to that. But a lot of them also had very high rates of spread, at other phases of the pandemic. So they never fully adopted the zero COVID policies that Australia and New Zealand and some Asian countries had. Right. So, they've been able to do that very effectively where they're now saying okay, it's endemic, we're moving on with our lives. But you take the example of Singapore that also tried to declare COVID endemic and say now we're vaccinated, we're moving on. And they have extremely high vaccination rates. They have a problem because they did adopt zero COVID early on. They did close their borders and take it really seriously and have really heavy duty quarantining. And they're having a hard time transitioning people psychologically into the idea that we're done now, because even though they have very high vaccination rates, they have young people in their 20s coming in and getting a positive test and being terrified and showing up at the hospital because they've been so psychologically conditioned that any COVID in the population is horrific. But they're a vaccinated 20-year-old and they're not showing any symptoms, but they had a positive test and now they're at the emergency room check me in, put me on oxygen, you know? So because they're so petrified of it. And because that was how their country decided to handle the pandemic. They have almost zero population immunity from getting sick because they so effectively blocked it out early in the pandemic. Now they're, pretty much vaccinated, but it's very hard for people to let go of this idea that a positive COVID test means instant death because they're conditioned to it now, so, and we don't have to feel that way anymore because whether you've just decided that your risk of COVID is low enough that you're going to risk getting it without a vaccine or whether you're afraid and you got a vaccine, there's really no reason to be stressed anymore.
Right. But you'll see in a moment, we're going to play a little bit of the West Virginia Governor, Jim Justice. Then the media is staying steady with, they're just pushing around. They're part of this campaign. They're pushing now saying, they're looking at red states saying, hey, you're spiking now. You have more hospitalizations because you're failing to get kids vaccinated or you're failing to do this and that, et cetera, trying to push them. They're another arm of Fauci and the Biden administration. It's crazy, but here's more Fauci today.
The CDC director said on Friday that the agency is reevaluating what's known as Title 42. That was an order done on an emergency basis that allows the U.S. immigration officials to expel migrants more easily because of the pandemic. You have talked about this. There are widespread vaccines and testing now. As a public health official, do you see a medical reason still to continue to impose that rule?
I'm not going to, I'm sorry, Dana, but I am not as familiar with the intricacies of that to make any comment about that rule.
Okay, not going to make any comment about it. Sounds good.
I just, my feeling has always been that focusing on immigrants, expelling them or what have you, is not the solution to an outbreak.
Okay, so I'm not going to say anything about it, but stop it. Let all the immigrants in. Guy is remarkable, and today he is so entitled, it is remarkable.
Talk about actually established religions. There are so few of those that actually will not allow you to get vaccinated.
So how do you, though, tell somebody that their faith doesn't, if they say, this is my faith, and it doesn't fall into that traditional religion, and then on the flip side, how do you kind of tell whether or not that's just an excuse?
Can you imagine? How do you know if they're lying about
what they really believe?
I'll know what they really believe.
Yeah, no, Dana, that's going to be very difficult. I would hope that people would understand that all of this is for their benefit, for the safety of themselves.
That ain't helping.
Their family and their societal responsibility. Other situations locally have dealt with that. There was a situation back in California years ago when Governor Jerry Brown was the governor, and he said no religious exemptions because of the fact that it was being abused. I'm not sure how it's going to roll out. I just would encourage people to realize the importance of this to get this outbreak under control.
There are other exemptions happening out there right now.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to have the religious exemptions ultimately. I believe in the long term. There's a First Amendment in this country, and it's protected. And like, what you need for a religious exemption isn't like a note from your priest. It's what you personally believe. So if you believe that there's something wrong about the vaccine, then you have the right to not take it. No,
Fauci's going to hold you down, and you're getting it anyway. It doesn't matter. And if you believe, speaking of actually getting some more utility out of your first parody song last year, Alice, it's maybe good to go again this year.
We can gather for Christmas, or it's just too soon to tell?
First of all, if I was a producer on that show, I would throw up. I would projectile vomit, knowing I worked for a show where the host is actually asked that question. That's what I'm saying when I say that they bring them on like these pontiffs of medicine. Can we do Christmas or not? It's like, who the fuck is he? What is he, Santa or Jesus? What is it? He doesn't get to decide. Can we do Christmas? Why would she ask like that? Why would she even set that up? You let me know. I'm going to have to make a decision based on... It's pukish.
We can gather for Christmas, or it's just too soon to tell?
Margaret, it's just too soon to tell. We've just got to concentrating on continuing to get those numbers down.
I'm not canceling it all together right here. I mean, I probably will. I may have a reason to cancel it. May have to do that in a little bit, but I'm not going to do it right here. But expect it in the not too near future if I'm not pleased with the numbers. What a madman. What a madman.
And not try to jump ahead by weeks or months and say what we're going to do at a particular time. Let's focus like a laser on continuing to get those cases down. And we can do it by people getting vaccinated, and also in the situation where boosters are appropriate to get people boosted, because we know that they can help greatly in diminishing infection and diminishing advanced disease, the kinds of data that are now accumulating in real time.
So there you go. Yeah, we can. I'm not going to cancel it outright right now, but there's a chance we're going to have to. We don't want to do it yet. The fact that he would even answer that she would ask the question is horrific and makes me feel dirty. The fact that he would answer it, like without saying, "I do not control Christmas. I work for this. I supposedly work for this part of the FDA that does this and that."
But just do the people like this? Do they do this for other FDA and CDC advice? Do they not eat the raw cookie dough because the eggs and do they do that with everything?
Saying, can we do Christmas?
Are we allowed?
Oh, I can't.
Are people really going to do that again this year? The whole remember the lady who had her 2 sons over and they ate in separate rooms with all the windows open and they still got COVID or whatever? People are really going to do that again this year now that they're vaccinated. I haven't worn a mask since May or whatever when the mandates got lifted here, and I don't intend to start again. I don't know who these people are who are
right.
And I think that, even in Blue, Massachusetts, our daughter got invited to a party and all the kids who are all required to wear masks in school were all inside together at the party, and probably some of their parents are Democrats and stuff. Who are these people who are still following all this insane guidance?
No, it's crazy. So here's Face the Nation. This is her name is Margaret, and this is with the governor of West Virginia. Okay. Listen to how she says
overall, 2/3 of Americans over 18 are fully vaccinated, and a new study last week determined unvaccinated Americans were 8 times more likely to get the Delta variant than those who are unvaccinated, and were 57 times more likely to die. West Virginia is one state in crisis due to the Delta variant.
One state in crisis. due to the Delta variant.
And their vaccination rate is considerably below the national average. Republican Governor Jim Justice joins us. Governor, you were leading the pack out of the gate, and now you've hit this wall. Why aren't you able to convince more of your constituents to go get immunized?
Well, Margaret, we're a long ways from being in crisis in West Virginia. If you look at our death rate compared to the national average, we're still below the national average with our death rate. We got out of the gate right,
Your hospitals are getting overwhelmed.
People. I'm sorry?
Your hospitals are getting overwhelmed. You have a high infection rate.
We're overwhelmed all across this country. I mean, for crying out loud, West Virginia is managing it absolutely great. And in every way, from the standpoint of getting out first and vaccinating our people first in West Virginia, we wish that the boosters would have come along sooner, because we got out so early that really and truly we were at the 6 month situation way before. And think about this for just 1 second, Margaret.
Well,
on Tuesday or Wednesday.
She's not pleased.
No, because he pushed back.
Yeah, I said the hospitals are getting overwhelmed.
Be more upset. Be sorry.
Right.
You screwed
this
up.
Coming week, we will have given and administered every single one of our Pfizer vaccines to every nursing home we have in the state.
But Governor,
to say West Virginia's in a crisis is wrong. That's just all there is to it.
Governor, you just asked the Biden administration for more monoclonal antibodies, which is one of the treatments for people who are hospitalized with this virus.
Wrong.
And they denied it. You need that because people are very sick. Are you concerned that your request was denied?
Well, sure, we're concerned. It weren't denied. It was just lowered. But with all that, Margaret, the reality is the supply. The southern states just gobbled up all the supply and everything. And again, the Biden administration is standing there holding the bag. We need more antibodies here, but we're managing it.
Not what she wants to hear again. And when you said wrong, what did you mean?
Wrong. I mean, monoclonal antibodies are much more effective when you get them before you go to the hospital. It's like the thing,
right.
When you go get Tamiflu, you want it right when you test positive.
So she's using it as more proof that they're in crisis.
It reduces your chances of going to the hospital by 80%. And vaccinated people can take it too. Because, like they said at the beginning, you're 57 times more likely to die if you're unvaccinated, but that's still not zero for vaccinated people, right? So if you're elderly and you get COVID, you might still want to go out and get the monoclonal antibodies even if you're vaccinated.
You were talking about
She's getting upset. Notice this? It's not going how no, it's a mess. Just say it's a mess.
Dispute of characterization of where you are with vaccinations, but you do seem to have hit a wall with the younger people in your state. You've done all these things with mascots, with your bulldog, baby dog. You've got giving away guns. You're giving away these things. Why can't you?
Think that's said with any disdain?
Mm-hmm.
You're giving away guns.
You've tried literally everything.
All the white trash options you could think of out there.
Increase vaccinations.
Well, now just think about it. Since we came out with our campaign with a little old English bulldog, a baby dog, that's got a face that makes everybody smile, and she loves everybody. But with all that, we have vaccinated hundreds of thousands of more West Virginians. It's been tremendously successful. All of us all across this nation hit a wall.
Yeah.
We all know that the more we get vaccinated, the more we'll live. We all know that.
Governor,
but at the same time, we protect our freedoms, do we not?
We're going to talk more on the other side of this break, so stay with us.
It is my contention, and I listened to this live, or I listened to it continuously. It is my contention that they did not mean to hold him over. But this segment went so badly that they said, okay, we're going to
try and come back from this.
Yes, tell him he's staying. Let's huddle. And she and the producers got together and take another shot at him.
Somebody call Fauci. What should we say next?
Right. They're back.
Welcome back to Face the Nation. We want to continue our conversation with West Virginia Governor Jim Justice. Governor, let's pick up where we left off, which was how your state is faring right now with vaccinations and with COVID. Your health officials, Dr. Clay Marsh, at a press conference just this week, talked about how much your medical system is under strain right now, saying the number of COVID cases and hospitalizations is higher than it has been during the entire pandemic. And you yourself said you're right in the eye of the storm. So what's the problem? Why aren't people protecting themselves?
Well, Margaret, they are. You know, I mean, we are in the eye of the storm. We're right at the peak of the surge right now. And from our hospital standpoint, we're absolutely, you know, we're still doing elective surgeries and we're still doing all that.
Not what she wants to hear. Not that they're still
No,
doing...
she wants gunshot victims turned away from the ER for COVID patients and ivermectin people and everything else.
Absolutely.
We're not overloaded from the standpoint of our hospitals, you know, having to turn people down and all that. We're absolutely, you know, are managing this and managing it in a right way. But we are right at the peak of our surge here, and we're very hopeful that it's starting to decline. It's declining in certain ways, but we're still going to be very, very vigilant in what we do.
You yourself at your press conference this week encouraged parents to vaccinate their children. California's governor's mandating kids 12 to 17 get a vaccine to go into the schoolroom after around January. Are you going to mandate it for school kids as well?
No chance.
Why?
No chance.
He continues to disappoint her very badly. Mm-hmm. You hear her? Why?
Why? You mandate as governor. As governor, you mandate. We looked: measles, mumps, rubella, tetanus, polio, other vaccines. Why won't you put COVID on that list?
Now, Margaret, you know, you don't have to come in so hot. You guys asked me to come, you know. But Margaret, the bottom line of the whole thing is just this:
it's true. She's so rip bleep at this point, so angry, off the hook, angry at him, just yelling at him. It's like, take a hit on something I mentioned. Take a hit on something.
I truly believe that the mandates only divide us and only divide us more. From the standpoint of mandates, I don't believe in imposing upon our freedoms over and over and over. And I've said that over. I don't know how many times I got to say it. Mm-hmm. But from the standpoint of our children, I'm going to still encourage in every way, because I truly believe that the more people that we get vaccinated, the less people will die. But at the same time, we still...
Yeah, she's not listening. That's a I'm not listening. She's waiting for a second of silence so that she can take another shot at you.
We've got to stand up for who we are. For crying out loud, we're Americans.
I know this has become a big issue for the Republican Party, which you are a part of, in terms of framing this as a freedom of choice. But for small children, you mandate that their parents get them those immunizations.
I know that you're just a political a-hole and shallow, etc., but there are real human being children involved.
So that they are safe in the classroom. They don't have freedom safe in the classroom.
Hold on 1 second.
Small children, you mandate that their parents get them those immunizations so that they are safe in the classroom. They don't have...
Like we said, this is not one of those.
Right.
They are safe in the classroom.
Freedoms as children to choose whether or not to get polio or not. We protect them against that. Why don't you want to protect those children by mandating it?
Margaret, to think that I don't want to protect the children is ridiculous. I mean, we all want to protect our children. But parents have decisions to make in this situation too, just like the local officials have decisions to make. For crying out loud, you know, that's who should be making these decisions, is the parents, you know, and
well,
from the
you'd
standpoint
make those
of the
decisions
federal government,
as a governor, actually.
Well, we can go on and on about this forever, but in this situation, we're not going to change. And,
actually,
and really and truly,
millennial
it never has really mattered to me. You know, I do think this nation is so divided from the standpoint of partisanship, it's unbelievable. And right now, what you had AOC say just earlier, you know, our team needs to be better. Well, you elect individuals. You don't elect a team.
Yeah. So anyway, you get it. Probably spent a little too much time there, but you get they're so intent. Come on. It's all one big push. They're so intent, and they do it every week in and out. Let's see. The last piece I have on this is, once again, when you've now deputized everybody to be doctors and they're not now, or if they are doctors, you're forcing them to be propagandists or forcing them to be, you know, the people in charge of paying the rent and not getting evicted, or gun control, whatever it is. Then you put a high ranking of bureaucrats and cabinet members at risk of being eviscerated in front of Senate committees.
With an Israeli study that had 2.5 million patients and found that the vaccinated group was actually 7 times more likely to get infected with COVID than the people who had gotten COVID naturally.
Senator, I'd have to get back to you on that one. I'm not familiar with that study.
Well, you think you might want to be if you're going to travel the country insulting the millions of Americans, including NBA star Jonathan Isaac, who have had COVID, recovered, look at a study with 2.5 million people and say, well, you know what, it looks like my immunity is as good as a vaccine or not, and in a free country, maybe I ought to be able to make that decision. Instead, you've chosen to travel the country calling people like Jonathan Isaac and others, myself included, flat earthers. We find that very insulting, goes against the science. Are you a doctor or a medical doctor?
I've worked over 30 years on health policy.
You're not a medical doctor. Do you have a science degree? And yet you travel the country calling people flat earthers who have had COVID, looked at studies of millions of people, and made their own personal decision that their immunity they naturally acquired is sufficient. But you presume somehow to tell over 100 million Americans who have survived COVID that we have no right to determine our own medical care. You alone are on high, and you've made these decisions, a lawyer with no scientific background, no medical degree. This is an arrogance coupled with an authoritarianism that is unseemly and un-American. You, sir, are the one ignoring the science. The vast preponderance of scientific studies, dozens and dozens, show robust, long-lasting immunity after COVID infection. Even the CDC does not recommend measles vaccine if you have measles immunity. The same was true for smallpox. But you ignore history and science to shame the flat earthers, as you call them. You should be ashamed of yourself and apologize to the American people for being dishonest about naturally
And there you go. You get these guys who absolutely get eviscerated and filleted up there in the Senate. Before we go for those and begin our Patreon-only part, I just want to leave everybody else with a good piece of audio. This is the only pitted bull who I really like, Alice. This is Pitbull during a concert. This cut is making its way around the internet, and I now officially love Pitbull.
So whoever the doesn't like the United States of America, may God bless you, but you at the same time. If you don't like the United States of America, go back to the countries that we the from, and you'll see how much you appreciate the United States of America.
Here, pitted bull. Here, pitted bull.
So what's going to be on the other side on Patreon?
I'm glad you asked that, Alice, because we're going to focus squarely on the Biden administration and how they're handling things.
And people chanting about Brandon.
And Brandon, yep, that's all included. Is that yes? Let's go, Brandon. Will be part 2 of all of this. Also, SNL was put in the very unfortunate position of having to take aim at Democrats as well, which they were no fan of doing.
Yep, that's great. I have some news about men and women, too, and our society together. That's over on our Patreon show. If you head over to patreon.com/burnbarrel, we have an extra segment just for our Patreon patrons each week over there, so you can check that out. You can also find us for free on Twitter, Facebook. We're at Burn Barrel Pod on Twitter, facebook.com/burnbarrelpodcast. We're on YouTube, on Rumble, on Gab, on Parler. You can email us, burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com.